Hey, what's going on, Facebook? What's going on, world? I'm your host, A.L. Johnson. Welcome to Elevating Men. This is the premier destination for men who are looking to improve their lives, men who are looking to become better men. Because let's face it, when it comes to our community, when it comes to our families, when it comes to the world in general, it depends on the man, right? It depends on the man. When the man is strong, families are strong. Strong families build strong communities. And so that's our goal here is to make sure that we're addressing all of the issues that men face with so that we can become better. Today's topic is about fatherhood. Today we're going to be talking about fatherhood. And so before we jump into the conversation, I just want to first introduce my brothers here that are on the live stream with me. I know you have brother LaRon right here to my right. Can you tell everyone hello and introduce yourself?
Hello, Laron. My name is Laron Barnes. I'm a motivational speaker and a life coach. Really inspiring people to be a better them and giving them direction in life. It's going to be good, this topic we're talking about.
Good, good. And then next to him, to the right, we've got A.O. Boykin of Dinner and Dialogue. How you doing, sir? Hello, Andrew. I think he's froze up a little bit. Below me, I've got
Hey, good evening,
Terrence.
everybody.
Also known
Andrew Boyd here.
okay. And then I've got Terrence, aka Mills. He's a recording artist, and he's joining us today to talk about fatherhood. How you doing today, Mills?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. You know, it's a beautiful topic we chose tonight, and I'm excited to be on board with this Elevate Man. I appreciate the opportunity, man. I really do.
Definitely appreciate you as well. And then last but certainly not least, I got my brother Albert Bell, also known as Sane Serious. He's a recording artist out of St. Louis, and a man of many talents. How you doing, brother?
Good evening, man. Thanks, Drew. Thanks for having me, man. This is a pleasure and an honor, bro. Uh, I'm ready, man. I'm excited. I'm just Albert, man. Just a musician. I'm no one special.
Gotcha. You special, bro. Don't say that.
Definitely.
All right. So let's jump into it. So yesterday, me and my brother Andrew Boykin, we were talking a little bit about manhood. We were kicking around a conversation, very good conversation. Wish I would have recorded it. To be honest with you, it was very enlightening. But we got to a certain question, and I want to ask you all and get your opinion just to kick the conversation off. And so we're just going to do it round robin style. But if you had to describe the purpose of a man using just one word, what would that word be? We'll start with you, LaRon.
Yeah, if I have to, I would have to say that one word to me, Andrew, would be provider. The sole purpose is to provide for your family, the individuals who need you, the individuals that you support. Uh, and even I'm a biblical man, and even the Bible says, God, it says any relative, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. So we got to, as men, as the head of the household, we are the provider. That's the word.
Provider. What would you say, Cooper?
Uh, for me to be leadership, because I thought provider as well. I agree, but when you dive deeper into it, you have financial, emotional, spiritual. Even down to just the everyday of discipline and everything else. Essentially, what you're doing is you're leading them where you want them eventually to end up. So
Got
for the
you.
whole family.
The captain of the ship, so to speak.
Exactly.
Got it. What about you, Albert?
For me, it would be stewardship. So, and that plays into leadership, like my man said, the first guy, like he said, that plays into the biblical sense of things. As a good steward, you want to be a good manager, and you got to manage your household, right? And everyone in your household is a reflection of you as that leader, as that man. So you definitely want to be a good steward.
Absolutely. Mills?
It didn't take me much thought to it. My answer would be the foundation. can kind of piggyback off of what you said in the beginning, as a man, we're all these things. In order to be a great man, you have to be a great steward. You have to be a great leader, and to me, that equals the foundation of the family, And that's why you see a lot of houses in turmoil in America these days, because the foundation is not even there.
Wow. That's a good point. And we're gonna jump into that. We're gonna dive into that. Andrew, well, what's your one word that describes the responsibility of men? I think he's maybe frozen.
One word.
We'll let him work that out. Now I'm gonna share my one word, and my one word for the purpose of men is to build. That one word is to build. All right. We build our families. We build our communities. But when I use the word build, the other part that comes into that is building things to last. Right? We don't want to build something, put in a whole bunch of work, and then it withers away, or it dies with us, because we're not eternal beings, right? And so the work that we do here on earth, whether it's building a business, building families, etc., we want that to last generationally. Right. And so it automatically lends to fatherhood. For a man to build, he has to have a reason, he has to have motivation that comes from your family. And then what makes whatever he builds last comes from his legacy or his children. And so fatherhood is huge. I like the words that we came up with. So we got a man is a builder, a provider. He provides leadership, stewardship. He's a good manager, and he builds a foundation. And so all of those things are great. But when we connect this to the issue of fatherhood in America, I want to share a few statistics with you, and this will really put it into plain view why we're in the situation that we're in. And so 19.5 million children are living without a man in the home. That equates to 1 out of 4, or 25%. That's of all children. If we narrow it down to the Black community, and this is crazy, over the past 10 years, 64, that's the lowest number, 64 to 67% of our children are growing up without a father in the home. So they're not witnessing that builder, that provider, that leadership, that stewardship. They're not seeing it firsthand. Now, here's the bigger issue. So according to the National Center of Fathering, children from fatherless homes are more likely, now listen to these issues. If you grow up without a father, you are more likely to be poor. So you're lower on the socioeconomic pole. You are more likely to be involved in drug and alcohol abuse. You are more likely to drop out of school. You're more likely to be involved in crime, more likely to suffer from health and emotional problems, and more likely to have children as teens. And so there's a huge problem there that we have to address. Also, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, 7 out of every 10 youths that are housed in state-operated facilities, 7 out of 10 come from fatherless homes. They all come from fatherless homes. 72% of Americans believe that fatherless homes is the most significant social and family problem facing our country. So it's a huge problem. It isn't a secret. We know that it exists, but very few people are having the conversation on why.
And well, how part of the why, and I don't mean to cut you off, Drew, part of the why is mass incarceration. And it's a never-ending cycle, it seems like. So
it's true.
So when we talk about mass incarceration, again, the statistics say that really stems from fathers not being in the home. Right. Yeah, so people are they're more likely to be incarcerated. And so these statistics aren't new. This has been the issue for about 50, 60 years. Now, we know with the civil rights movement and the implementation of welfare and the social programs, et cetera, they did incentivize the man not being in the home. They said, hey, we're not going to help you financially if the man is in the home. But let me ask you guys this. Do you, because we always want to talk about personal responsibility and accountability. And so even though that's true, do you feel that there's anything that could have been done differently, individual decisions by those men that could have made a difference?
I mean, of course, we all have choices. But like I said, it plays back generation ago. You know, we're maybe like two, three generations outside of slavery, post slavery. So you're dealing with a group of millennials who are learning from post slavery uh, kids. You know, because my mother's mother, her mother was a slave, and my great grandmother was a child of a slave, and my grandmother, they still had those same habits. So it all and so the way that they were raised, it was easy to manipulate the generations to come using TV and media and stuff like that because it was all brand new to us, and so everything was new to us, and that contributed to the mentality that you see the youth with today and why households are the way they are today. It all
Mhm.
plays into that.
Yeah, it's to me personally to piggyback off of that, man. I feel like it's a lot deeper than what we see on the surface. Like like he said, like it goes back generations. If we were raised by the slaves who made it out, you see what I'm saying? It creates, and this is generations of this. What I feel like black men, men, especially black men in America, need most is therapy. We're still depressed from slavery, and we never really got over that because the people who enslaved us are still in our face. We're still working in their facilities. You see what I'm saying? And
Dirty
it's just
money.
it's a lot of layers to that, man. But I'm not the type to put the blame on the white man or this man or that, because at the end of the day, God blessed us all with choice, and you have that choice to break these curses and these cycles.
I think
Right.
It's up to the individual.
I think it kind of boils down to a lack of resources and a lack of exposure. Because at the end of the day, if you give one person an abundance of resources and abundance of exposure of what could happen in their lives, and then you shun the other person from that and keep them blinded to that, the person who is given those resources or even access to those resources, it doesn't even have to be directly. They could just be access to those resources, and then you give them the exposure and the understanding of how to use those resources. They're going to thrive. But
Mm.
if you blind someone and keep them away from those resources, then they're going to go off and find something that's going to sustain them in whatever way that they can. And in our case, the black man had been blinded to those resources for so long that when you go off and find another way to make it happen, then the same people who blinded you from the resources also make everything that you try to do illegal, which turns
Wow.
around and puts you into a position to where now you're taken away from your family, which starts this vicious cycle. So yeah, a decision could have been made differently, but at the end of the day, you're only going to make a decision based off of what you have in front of you. You can't make a decision on something that you don't have vision of.
Okay, so
Well,
speaking on what's in front of you, and that's a very good point. Very good points you brought up. I just want to ask really quickly. So my personal situation growing up, I was raised by my mother. My parents split up. I was maybe about 7 or 8 years old when my father left. He ended up moving out of state, and so we had a long distance relationship that was a little bit in and out. Laurent, what was your family makeup growing up?
Well, my family makeup was very unique. I like to say because I haven't heard of too many, but basically I had my mom, my dad, I had both parents in a home. Even in my brothers and sisters, every last one of us are related. We have no extra brothers and sisters, any of that. So that I was born in a rare situation, I like to call it. And from that scenario right there, like just having a father in the home, uh, it gave me an example. I seen what it was to love a woman, like how to love my wife now. Like I seen how it was to show your kids attention and love. You know what I mean? I showed them how to see love. So I learned a lot of things even from having that in that kind of type of household. So yeah, just having that. And I know a lot of people don't even have that.
hey, and to piggyback off of what you just said, I can agree. I like because I grew up in a household where my mom and my dad didn't get married until I was 9 years old. In the beginning, it was just my mom, me, and my three brothers, and my aunt. You know, my aunt was the dad in the house. You know, so she watched us while mom worked and stuff like that. But then when moms and pops got married, I saw like love. I saw till death do us part. I got to see a true example of what it means. So I was fortunate enough to get that. You know, but I can truly say that, you know, if I didn't get that example and that type of leadership, I'd have never turned out the way that I did. And I even with both parents in the household, we still struggle.
Yeah.
You know?
What was your makeup like, Coop?
Well, my biological father passed away when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and then my what I would consider my father now, my stepdad, came in uh, maybe a few years after that, and stepped in and took the role, took the reins of everything. And even though he and my mom got married, and then eventually ended up getting divorced, but he stayed in my life, and I have my little sister as well now through that marriage, but he stayed in my life. So I had my mom on one side and then I had my dad on the other. And I basically just kind of, teeter-totter balance between the two of them. But it worked out, I like to say.
That's good. That's good. And what about you, Mills?
Well, mine's was a little different. My mother was all I had, really. And luckily, my mother is the woman that she is. My mother's been a teacher for the past 30 years.
Mm.
Luckily, I had a mother as capable and strong as she was, And I had a few stepdads, and my mom also married my biological father, but he left around. I was about 7 as well, and he left, and life was a lot different growing up, without, because I also didn't have a lot of uncles. I had one uncle that I seen and one uncle that I never seen. So I didn't have a lot of older male, role models in my life.
Right.
And I can see, because, LaRon, that's my best friend. And we've been rocking for a long time. And it's a lot of differences in how we grew up. I couldn't there was nobody to come to when I had personal problems. Some things you're not willing to talk to your mother about, so.
Yeah, definitely. I could say even in my personal life, and a lot of the things that I was missing, I really didn't realize until I was an adult, and started dealing with my own issues as far as getting my finances in order. When I had my first child and things like that, it was a lot of trial and error that I feel I may not have gone through if I would have had that everyday presence of a father to be able to see what his routine was like. Did he get up? Did he exercise? What did it look like to, make the runs and the errands and do the man things around the house? I didn't see that firsthand. And so a lot of it, I remember when I got my first car, things like that, trying to figure out how to change the oil, just simple things that you would think men should know. And so a lot of times women now, they say that, men just aren't men, not realizing that a lot of us didn't have that example. There was nobody to show us, hey, here's how you change a tire, here's how you change the oil. This is the maintenance for a home that you have to do during these, different seasons. And so a lot of us are just really lacking those skills. And so for myself, if someone were to ask me the question, did you feel prepared as a man based off of your upbringing? Unfortunately, I have to say no. The sad part about that is my mother did an excellent job, and so that doesn't take anything away from her at all. And there's a lot of women, apparently, according to the statistics, that are raising children on their own, and they're doing the best that they can. But for some reason, as men, we're growing up lacking. And so my question to those of you that grew up, and anybody can jump in on this, but for those of you that grew up without a father in the home consistently, what are some of the biggest things that you feel that you missed, or things that you would have gained had they been in the picture?
Well, for me personally, I feel like, kind of like what you said, it's the little things, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had things going on with my private parts that I didn't understand. And, who feels comfortable coming to their mom? Not that you'll feel comfortable coming with your partner either, but, you'll feel more comfortable,
Right.
And like little things like changing tires, I didn't understand how to do these things till I was older, And I think that played I'm still a little salty about it. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Oh yeah,
Still to this day, because I feel like I missed out on certain things, you know.
Right. Now, in coming into fatherhood, or so everybody on the panel is a father in their own right. I can tell you, it was rough for me. It was really rough for me because each step of the way, I felt like it was just a completely new thing that I was just unaware of. I was blindsided by everything. I would say through my early 20s, I made every mistake with women you could possibly make, from, having children with more than one woman. I've been the player type at a different point in time. I've made all of those mistakes that I feel like possibly a father would have been able to kind of redirect me, in a lot of those instances. So now we are where we are. Okay, so we talked about the back end of it. A lot of us growing up without fathers, we know the statistics. We're more likely to go to jail, be on drugs. It's all bad. It's all negative. But on this show, we always want to talk about solutions and moving forward and what we can do to be better. And so, Lauren, I'd like to ask you, as a father, what would you say is the number one thing, the number one quality or trait that you need to be a good father to your children?
That's a very good question. I love that. What I would say honestly, and I'm learning this and have learned it at the same time. I'm even still going through the process of this. Patience.
Man, big
Patience.
time.
Patience. You have, and what
You took my answer, Lorraine.
I knew he was gonna take somebody.
But listen, patience. What I learned is that you have to have patience, and the reason why we are so short-tempered is because we have the stress of the world that is on us, trying to worry about how to pay bills, trying to please a woman, don't really want to go to the job because the bull crap you got to deal with there. So when you don't have to have patience for someone who's right in front of you, because listen, I'm fed up. It's cut short. And so a lot of us don't have patience. We begin to yell at our children. We begin to get away from here. I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm busy. I'm guilty. I have my times of doing it. I'm trying to work, right? But at the same time, our children need our attention. And this is some things that I've learned, right? Is that our children really do need our attention. They need us as a father. They don't need to home. They need us to be present in mind. They need us to show them love and attention. I'll say, like, not too long ago, I had a conversation with my baby girl because I noticed that I wasn't doing what I felt that I should be doing. To be honest with you, and this is just me, the Lord has spoke to me and showed me some things about me that I didn't like. And if I don't like it and it's not healthy, then I'm going to look to change it. And so I sat down and talked to my daughter and I said, baby girl, I want to talk to you. And I said, her in the car, me and her in the car by herself. And I said, I want to let you know that I love you. And I want to let you know that even though sometimes I'm a little rough, it's nothing against you. I love you. I just have a lot going on sometimes, and it's hard to express it to you. By the way, she's only 6 years old. I said, so when I'm working sometime, baby, it's okay for you to come and interrupt, but sometimes just wait, give me a little time, and then I'll get to you. And then sometime I'll break what I'm doing for you. But I want you to know I love you. It's just it's a lot going on with my life. It's a lot going on with me, and sometimes it's hard. I was talking to her like an adult because I don't want her to feel neglected. I don't want to, when she gets older, she says, Daddy, I didn't feel like you was really there for me. I didn't feel like you gave me your time. I was present, but I wasn't present. So I would say patience, patience, patience. That is the, take that. Take that.
Yeah, I agree with you, bro. I agree with you on that 100%. Now, let me ask you this. This is something that I've noticed. Tell me if you guys have noticed this, right? A lot of men, when it comes to their relationship with their children, it tends to be predicated on the relationship with the mother. Right or wrong, I see that a lot. What about you guys?
Yes, me personally. Oh, go ahead, my brother.
Oh no, you good, man. Go ahead.
Me personally, I actually lived that to where and I didn't like that about me neither. It was situations where me and the mother wasn't getting along, and for some reason, it trickles down to the children. You know what I'm saying? I don't even have no issues with the child at all at this moment, but because this done got heated over here, I'm giving them less of me over here. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't like that neither. That's something I had to straighten up myself. So I lived it. So
yeah,
I can kind of relate.
I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah.
What about you, Albert? Do you notice any difference in men when it comes to dealing with their children, and they have a great relationship with the mother versus things just ain't quite acting right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I can be honest. I mean, I don't want to, you know, go too deep, but I'm going through a similar situation right now to where because I'm not getting along with the other parent, I haven't really had a relationship with my oldest child, and it's not fair to him, but I mean, I've been like completely shut out, and that's just because of me wanting to be a dad, me wanting to be there more, me wanting to voice my opinion about his upbringing, and a lot of times, you see a lot of women, and I'm not bashful when it comes to women. I don't bash women, but a lot of them go on a power trip, you know, and it's sad, but things like that end up in court, man. And it's
Mhm.
like and that's almost the only way to get it resolved, and to get some visitation rights, to get some type of relationship going on with your child. It's almost like you got to go through the court system.
Right now, have you ever felt or been made to feel that as the father you aren't as equal of a parent by default?
Absolutely. The moment that the child is born and they tell you that you get to take the child home, the mother, when I say you, I'm speaking on the mother, that alone is unfair. Because if we have equal rights from jump, if I have to equally support this child with child support, I should be able to equally do everything that you can equally do.
I understand that. So, like, even with the quality, I was looking at a meme earlier today. I'm gonna share my screen just really quick. I'm gonna see if you guys can see this. It's pretty interesting. I'll show you here. So, okay. Can you guys see that image that I have up?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
both.
Okay. Let me know when you can see it clear.
I can see it clear, but I don't got my bifocals on, so you got to.
Yeah.
No problem. So here we go. So we're talking about a little bit about parental rights, and there was actually a comment left there from Rachel, who said that parental rights do need to be more equal. And so on the left side here, we have a man and a woman. We got a pregnancy test there, and the father is saying, "Oh my God, I'm gonna be a daddy!" Exclamation point. He's excited about it. The woman says, "I'm not ready for this." And so now we got a picture of Planned Parenthood. We know what that's about. The
Right.
man is crying, saying, "Please don't do this." The woman walks away and says she's not ready. All right. And so in our society, in general, that's accepted. Now, on the right side, we have the woman exclaiming, "Oh my God, I'm pregnant." She's excited. The man says he's not ready to be a father. He's walking away saying that he's not ready. And the woman cries and says, "Please don't do this." And at the bottom, it asks the question, what is the difference?
The
What
difference is
is the
thinking.
difference?
The difference is thinking with your little head versus your big head, honestly. And I mean, I will put part of the blame on us as men because we have a choice for contraceptive, regardless of how good it may feel, how good she look, how much you want it. You got a choice to put that cap on, man.
That's true. That's true. And I think also that's one of those things that comes into having a father in the first place, because I know with me not having a father, my first sexual experience were secretive. I
Right,
can't say with 100% certainty that if my father was there, I would have had the conversation with him. I believe I would have, but I can say with me parenting boys myself, I know for a fact that I'm going to notice some of those changes as they come, and I'll pull them to the side to have those tough conversations that maybe their mother wouldn't feel comfortable having with them. And so that's a big thing. But in relation to the meme, do you guys feel that there is a bit of inequality when it comes to the decision making of one having a child, keeping a child, what happens after the child is born? Do you feel that that is a equal or unfair? Anybody?
it's unfair.
Unfair, unfair. Okay, okay. Now I've got we got a comment here, Stephanie Kimbrough. She said, "Yes, as a good single woman, we will not get into a relationship with a man that does have a relationship with his kids. Unfortunately, you may need to fight for the children, but the fight is worth it."
Probably
Absolutely.
doesn't.
Yeah. So
But
I
at
agree with
what
you.
point do we stop fighting? At what point does common sense come from both sides and men become men and women grow up and become women and we all sit down and we say, you know what? We don't have to go to a court and have a cat fight and we don't have to pay all this money to these lawyers. We could use this money that we're about to pay for court and put it into a college fund. At what point does the fighting stop?
When the
To
emotion
me,
goes away, and that doesn't go away.
that's what I'm about to say. To me, it doesn't stop. I
If
think we're
when
looking at it wrong. I
when it's
think you got
led
to look.
with emotion, it's hard to come to an agreement.
No,
I mean, when
facts.
you have men are by nature more logical, and women by nature are more emotional. And that's not a bad thing, because a lot of times they have intuition and everything else that comes along with that. Their gut feeling tells them a lot of things. But
Right,
because we're logical, we constantly are looking for a solution to figure out the solution to whatever problem we see in front of us. Whereas women feel that they're trying to figure out what they should do based off of their feelings. And like I said, nothing wrong with that at all. But in the circumstance of a relationship and trying to understand with co-parenting, it gets, there's a disconnect there, because we just see the logical side of it and feelings go out the window. We just want to be there to be able to be there for the child. But if the emotional connection is not gone, I mean, if the emotional connection is gone on your end, but not on the mother's end, then it's always going to be a constant clash, because if she can't have you in the home for the relationship, or if there was any type of infidelity, whatever the case may be, there's always going to be a problem there. There's hurt and there's pain that came from it, and
right,
a lot of times it's hard to get past that.
right.
Hmm.
So what do
Now,
you say
I
to
think a big
someone with
problem too is really just not having any intention when we deal with women. It is really a big part of it. You know what I mean? A lot of it is just, instant physical attraction, instant
right,
gratification. Nobody's really thinking about, are we dating or are we just having a good time tonight? Should we be using protection? Should we not? Everything is just straight to, home base.
mhm,
And
Mm-hmm.
then we look up, now somebody's pregnant. Now
right,
we're, wrestling with, okay, should we try to make this work and be in a relationship with someone that we possibly barely know? So let's just keep it real. A lot of
Yeah,
it
you got to learn
really
them
does.
as you're going through it.
And
Yeah.
that's why I say it goes back to before all the chaos between man and female. Like you got to look at it like with us understanding and knowing all this, we have to take it personally. And as an individual, you got to make better choices. Don't just lay up with any and everybody. You see what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
Actually get to know the person before you start, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Hmm.
Getting down to the business, because
Yep.
all that matters. If you really know this woman and then y'all create a child, you know what I'm saying? You have a lower chance of ending up in the courtrooms fighting
Right.
over child support. You know what I'm saying? All this craziness. You know what I'm saying? We gotta be more careful about our choices.
Well,
You
I
know what I'm
mean,
saying?
yeah, and I feel like society has really taught us as men to, for lack of a better phrase, be sloppy with our seed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, our seed brings life, and so it's vitally important. But we just sow our oats, you know what I'm saying, just
yeah,
freely.
be full and
And
Any and
multiply,
anywhere.
man. Way
yeah,
too
yeah.
far.
I mean, and that's really a big problem. And so I believe a lot of men have impregnated women that they really had no intention of being with. And so it goes back to the fact that a lot of men attach their relationship to their children to the relationship with the mother. And so
Mm-hmm.
since you were out here being sloppy with your seed as a man, you out at the club, clubbing, drinking, smashing whoever, and then you come up with a
Mhm.
baby. Now you don't feel the same responsibility or connection that you would if you would have done things properly and you actually loved the woman and went through that process.
Right.
It's a completely different thing. Now that's not to say that men don't still, skip out when everything is great, but I do see a lot of situations where men just were acting in an unintentional way, and now they have all this responsibility. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a father. They don't know how to be a father. They didn't intend to be a father, at least at the time that they did. But now you have all the expectations,
Right.
the financial
True.
expectations, the mental, the emotional support, and you have no clue what you're doing. And so I think it really does start at the beginning, before the baby even gets there. How intentional are you living as a man?
Yes, sir.
True. Yeah.
And so when we come to the attention, like we already know that media in general is against us, right?
For
Like,
sure.
most of us grew up somewhere between the 80s, maybe late 70s, early 90s or whatever. We know what the music was like. We know what we were seeing on TV. We know what we were encouraged to do. And so these things have been ingrained in us. My question now is, how can we begin to reverse that? And for those of us that have children, or that have boys, or even girls, because they're getting the same messages, what can we do to make sure that they don't get caught in that same trap of the media, the music, the TV, and what it pushes us to do as far as promiscuity and being, again, sloppy with our seed and our reproduction?
I, for one, I have 7 and 8 year old girls, and to this point, they're still on, YouTube Kids and Kids Bop and Elmo. I try to. They have to deal with the technology that the school gives them, and we help them stay abreast and on top of their technology, so they're not left behind. But because the media is so risky and everything that they're constantly putting out, showing in such a negative light, I try my best to, let's just keep you over here where I know, you're gonna be innocent. As long as you can be a child, I'm gonna allow you to be a child as far as I can get you,
Right.
until
Yeah,
the point where that time comes where you have questions, and then we can be the ones that mentor those questions and answer those questions for you. We don't want the streets to answer any questions that we should be the ones answering.
Right.
That's the
definitely.
thing.
I'll
So
say,
Definitely.
so for me,
I'll say,
it's
and
just keep them a kid as long as possible.
right. Keep my kid as long as possible. See, I'll say this: I'm not a hypocrite at all, and so I mean, I put out music that's definitely not suitable for kids, and I put out content that's not suitable for kids. I don't, I don't let my daughter listen to any of my music. Like, and I got like her phone linked to my phone where I could see like all her Google search history, everything she's doing. Right, I watch her like day and night. I keep a close eye on her and everything that she's doing because I know the influence of media. I encourage every parent to do the same thing. I pray to God no 10-year-old, 12-year-old gets a hold of one of my songs, you know what I'm saying, and come home singing it and quoting it. And I mean I could say at age 10 and 11 when I was a kid, I had access to all of that and I didn't have those conversations with an adult to where they set me down and said, hey, this is not the way to live. This is not the way to be. So I was heavily influenced by music. So my best advice is find out what your kids are listening to. And if you hear them listening to it, don't beat them up about it. Sit them down and just really explain in depth why they shouldn't do what this song is
Yeah,
telling them
hey
to
man,
do.
you really hit the nail on the head with that, bro. You really did, man, because there's a certain element of curiosity that our children are gonna have regardless. We're not around them 24/7. And so,
Exactly.
even to your point, Cooper, as a father, and as a parent in general, we should shield their eyes from seeing things that can influence them. But then, what about when we're not around and they're exposed to these things? And so one thing that I try to do with my children is have real conversations with them. We got to get out of the mindset that because they're 8, 9, or 10 years old, they have no idea what any of this stuff is. Because if they're not catching it from us, they're catching it from somewhere.
Right.
And so,
Right.
prime example, my boys were listening to this song. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but I mean, they are just going in, like repeating the lyrics, and I mean, like dancing, bobbing their head like some grown men, right? And so I was like, hey son, instead of getting on to them, hey, turn that off, turn that off. You don't need to be hearing that. I listened to it with them. And I said, why do you like this song? Oh, I like the beat, Dad. I like the beat. I like it. Okay, cool. Do you know what he's saying though? You know what I mean? You know what he's saying because a lot of these songs are in code. And so we literally went line by line, line by
Mhm.
line. And I decoded the song for him. I said he's talking about selling drugs. He's talking about how many women he wants to have. He's talking about blowing all his money. And literally by the end of me explaining it, instead of just saying turn it off and piquing their curiosity, at the end of me explaining it, it was like, oh, well, Daddy, no, I don't like that song. I don't like that
Right.
song. I just
That's
like the beat.
perfect.
And so we've gotten to the point now where they actually like instrumentals.
Mm.
Because I realized that it's just about the beat. Okay, well, let's listen to some instrumentals. And what's really nice about it is it sparks their creativity. So, they're running around making songs and dancing, but it's all good hearted fun and they're not getting those same messages that they would get otherwise. And so, yeah, definitely being, that plays into the stewardship. When we talked about the different qualities of a man and a father, builder, provider, leadership, stewardship, manager, and foundation. That's the stewardship, just being a good steward over your children's eyes and ears, but also understanding the world that we live in. They've got access whether you give it to them or not. And so really just being real and having those tough conversations.
Right. Yeah, they got way more access than us. And I'll say this, man, like when as kids, we were lied to, man. And they did it like in a tap on the wrist type of way. Like they came with the whole sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, quote and all that
Yes,
stuff. That's a lie, man. Words
that is
are
a huge lie.
the word in the beginning, that's all we had was the word. That's
Right.
one of the most powerful things right now. And that is the reason why we have broken homes, mass incarceration, and all of the above. It's the word itself.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
I
yeah,
want to
definitely
like just kind of going to as far as your children, as far as shelter, it's not really so much about sheltering, even me from them hearing certain things. Of course, you want to definitely monitor them, monitor my children. I monitor what they do, but once again, like everyone said, it really is about coming down to explaining what is really going on.
Right.
Like if I'm not a trend follower. I don't follow trends. If you're doing it, I'm not setting myself on fire. That is stupid. I'm not a trend. I'm not a trend follower. It's not happening, right? And
Right.
so just explaining to them what it is, what is actually going on. Like people say dabbing. You should know what dabbing is before you start doing the dance. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so breaking it down to the children, explaining, hey, this is what it is, this is what they're doing. And then, like you said, what you have, how you how you did that to your son, how you showed him it, really breaking that down instead of yelling at them and getting so upset. And I think we act and react off impulse so quickly for whatever reason, because like I said, our own things that we deal with ourselves, that it kind of turns the kid away to want to shelter it from you more versus exposing it and showing you what they're going through. So just kind of like that, it really has helped even my baby.
yeah, absolutely. Like I grew up, I grew up in church. I went to a private school, and so when you say like sheltered, I was pretty sheltered. I grew up in a neighborhood that did give me some exposure to certain things, but most of my direction as far as what I should and shouldn't do was you just shouldn't do it because the Bible says so, or you shouldn't do it because it's wrong. I didn't get that real, like, just raw conversation, that I intend on having, with my children. And so I think another thing that we have to do is have our children start visualizing their life earlier, actually start talking about what their goals are, what their dreams are, what their aspirations are, and help them understand how big of a roadblock being sloppy in the area of dating, relationships, and having children, how much that can set you back. You know what I mean? You get you 3, 4 child support cases, that's going to change your finances real quick. You know what I mean? So if you were thinking you was about to be driving a Maserati, get used to a Honda. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of thing. And so I believe really just kind of putting that out there and not sugarcoating everything. I think our society has gotten to a point where we're so politically correct that everything we do is just so full of sugar and sweet, and that is not life. Life is bitter, life is hard, and we're really not preparing our children. We're doing them a true service by
Disservice.
life for them.
No. And that's me personally. Like I feel like the raw conversations, the real truth is a must for me and my kids. We don't believe in Santa Claus over here, the Tooth Fairy, none of that. Daddy worked his ass off to get that. You feel me?
Right,
Mama
right.
did some things to make that happen. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's really about. If you love it, we say we love our children until we blue in the face, but we feed them McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? We putting this junk into their bodies and into their minds, and imagery and all that stuff's important. My thing with me and with my children, bro, they don't just get to hop on. I don't care if it's the weekend or not. You're not just hopping on electronics. You're gonna do chores. You're gonna, things that, put some substance into them, pour into them. So, what I'm saying, everybody's on tablets these days, man. They got to get out there.
Yeah.
They got to get out there.
No life skills. They don't have any life skills or anything like that. Now, I did want to shift the conversation a little bit. This is all about fatherhood, but I do want to talk about something that's really proliferated in the last few decades, is because there are so many fatherless homes, and the majority of women that are dealing with this are late 20s, and through their 30s. And so they're still young, they're still vibrant, they're still wanting to date. You know, as men, we're still wanting to date. And so it's very unlikely that over the age of 30, you're going to find someone who's suitable for you that doesn't have a child. Would you agree?
I agree.
Okay. Now, I know that a lot of times as men, because myself, like I said, I grew up with my mother. Um, love my mother to death. Great mother. But what I can say is, when it came to me dating, my perception of dating a woman with children was this. I felt like because my mother was a good mother, and she had me, she deserved a good man. You know, I didn't feel like she should be overlooked because she had me. And so I never had a problem dating a woman that already had children. Right. And in this day and age, it's just a fact of life. 9 times out of 10, if you're over the age of 30 and you're on the dating scene, you're going to be dating someone with children. Now, I hear a lot of men, they say they don't have an issue with it. Ironically, I hear a lot of women say that they prefer a man that doesn't have children. It was kind of ironic. But my question is this, for those of you that have, or even just observed it from friends, how do you feel about, you know, raising children from another man? Do you feel that it's any different? Is there any different level of attachment or detachment? Is it exactly the same? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna say in the beginning, I actually ran into this situation. You know, first, this is my thought process on it. If I love you, if I'm gonna be with you, I'm taking all of you and everything that you got, right? Because that is a part of you. Your child is a part of you. I can't just say, get rid of the child, we can get together. No, that's not gonna happen, right? And so, like, if I'm with you, I'm with you. I'm taking responsibility, and I'm gonna be the person I need to be. Now, I will say this. You know, even with me and my wife, you know, my wife came in, we had baby girl already, you know, she's not biologically mine, but people don't even know that. I don't even know that. Keep it real with you. I forget. And so, like, I, before, and this happened, this is really something to me because I really thought about this before. All I knew was her, Nehemiah is her name. And then when I had a biological child, I felt there is a difference. There is a difference. You can feel it internally. There's a difference. You can feel it. and so I always watched. I never looked at. I used to battle myself whether am I treating her right? Am I treating her different? And I always battled with that. Am I? And I'm looking at myself, making sure I'm not trying to. I kept looking at it, like really scrutinizing. Like, okay, am I doing wrong? But what I found out, listen to this. This is where the joy came from with me. What I found out is not that I was treating her wrong or different. She was just older. She was older, so I had to treat her a little more maturely. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I had to be a little more tougher on her because she was older. But it was never really a difference. This is my baby. I never ever called her my stepdaughter. She was my daughter before we even got married. I was claiming her as my daughter because if I'm with you, I'm with the baby girl. And if I already have intentions on one day I'm gonna get married, I'm not just in it to hit it. You know how they say people do.
Right.
I'm in it to be with you. So that right there, like if you mind, she mind, we all.
Right. Now I get it. I understand what you're saying. Just to piggyback off that, I've been in a situation where I've dated 3 women who had kids, and they had multiple kids. And I'll say this: there is a difference between dating a woman with kids and you're having your own kids, and it comes down to boundaries, and it comes down to a certain level of affection that you can give to a stepchild. And I hate to say it that way, but that you just can't give it to a stepchild that you can give to your own child. Like, it's like not really appropriate for you to be, hugging and kissing on this kid that's not yours, and you're just now coming into the picture. You're showing us affection. Like with my son, for instance, look, Albert, he gets so much affection. You know what I'm saying? He come in, Daddy, give me hugs. Give me a kiss. And all this other stuff. I couldn't do that with a stepchild because of how it might be perceived, or how a person might take that. So you have to understand your boundaries when you're dealing with stepkids, most definitely.
Now, I can say from my own personal experience, it does make a huge difference the age of the child when you come into their life.
Right.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that for me, both the 7 and 8 year old, I came into their life when they were 6 months and 1.
Mm.
So in retrospect, I married their mother. We just got married not too long ago, actually last year, and it is just now gotten to the point where I have started to allow the affection. They're at that adolescent stage of life where they do need it. They need to have that as a strong, male role model in their family and everything else. So where now it's, if it's not given and if it's pushed away, then it can become a negative perspective on their end. But at the same time, I'm still trying to make sure, okay, let me make sure that I'm doing this in a certain manner to where the
Right.
perspective of everywhere else is not negative.
Right. The
So
boundaries, 'cause
and that
yeah,
never goes away. It doesn't matter how
right,
old they get, it's always going to be there. So now I actually have my first coming. We're about 4 or 5 months away from
Congratulations.
birth. Thank
yeah,
you,
yeah.
thank you. And so just like the gentleman just said about the differences. I can appreciate one being older, and now you're treating them differently. You were thinking that you were treating them different, but it was just because the fact that the one is older than the other. That speaks life into me, because now I can say, okay, because they are older and the newborn is here, there's going to be a difference in how they're treated no matter what.
Right.
So that, honestly, to be real with you, out of this whole conversation so far, that right there just gave me a better piece of moving forward. And so I definitely appreciate that. Uh, but yeah, so
That's what it's all about.
Right.
there's,
That's what it's all
Mission,
about.
mission accomplished.
yeah, there's a definite difference, but I believe that as long as it's all positive and there's no pushing to the side,
Right.
then it is good. Discipline is remaining the same, and everything a little has to change a little bit, but not too much, I feel.
And some of this, I've been in this situation, multiple times. Like I told you, through my 20s, I've had some mistakes. I've got a few things behind me, but I have actually been in that situation. My first serious relationship, I was 19 years old. It's the woman I had my first two children by, and she had two children when we met. And so I want to pivot into something else. Now, at that time, I didn't have the male leadership. Like I said, my father wasn't in the home. I was kind of out on my own. I didn't have anyone to bounce ideas off of, or get the proper advice. Um, have you all ever been in a situation when it comes to dealing with a woman who has children, but not just dealing with her, also dealing with the father and whatever insecurities, jealousies, or things that may come about in that situation? And additionally, have either of you dealt with a situation where your child is in a household with another man and just kind of had to deal with the things that come with that? And so I'll tell you mine. That my two oldest children, their mother is married. They live in Texas, and so I'm dealing with the distance thing. I do remember when he first came into the picture, I was livid. I was upset, even though things didn't work out with me and the mother. I'm like, those are my kids, and who is this guy? A lot of immaturity. To be honest with you, and it's something that I've had to learn and grow from. But then I've also been in situations where I've been that guy, and the father was non-existent, or he was kind of on the outside looking in, and he had his issues or concerns. Have any of you dealt with that? And if so, how were you able to handle it?
I have. I'll tell you this. I'm in a situation right now where I'm a full time father. I have my daughter. I have full custody of her, and my daughter. I got her maybe about a year and a half ago, full time, and she came from a broken home. She came from an abusive household with an abusive. I'm not gonna even say stepfather. I'm gonna say an abusive male that was in the house, and that's tough, man, because now I have to fix the damage that was caused because of that. And it's pretty messed up because for the 10 years that this guy was in her life, I had never met him, and it was so disrespectful for the mom to not introduce me to him, or to even, to take his advice, because apparently he said he didn't want to meet me or whatever. But long story short, come to find out, my daughter, she suffered some abuse from that household, and it mentally traumatized her. And so you can see the effects of it right now. And I'm having to heal that wound that was open.
Wow.
You
Well,
know,
with me,
go ahead, bro.
go, well, me, I'm in a situation to where, first off, like, I came up without my father, like I told you guys. So I've always wanted a family, and I always told myself, like, when I have my kids, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna be this, that, and the third. So, yeah, it sounds good on paper. No, but I really try, and I really do every day. But I got with a girl when I was 24 years old who already had 4 children. And, I've been with her for the past 8 years, you know what I'm saying? And it comes with a lot of challenges, you know what I'm saying? The first year I went out and had created my first child on her. Um, it comes with a lot, from the other fathers. What I did when I first got with her, I went to them. I didn't do no phone calls. I went to them as a man, you know what I'm saying? And I let them know, I'm in their life, and I've been here ever since, you know what I'm saying? And that's how we've been rocking. I really ain't had too many problems because I feel like how I came at them in the beginning. You know
Yeah,
what I
you
mean?
handle that very maturely, man. A lot of brothers don't do that, man. I gotta commend you for that.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
feel,
But you
I
said
feel like
something, man. I'm
go ahead.
sorry, who's that?
No, I'm saying I feel like the role of the stepfather is you gotta have it's a lot of responsibility that goes along to it. You gotta be an even bigger person as a stepfather coming in, because you not only have to be respectful for the mother, for the children, and you also have to have a level of respect for the father. And you have to separate the emotional side of what's going on and what happened with the mother and the father, to still have an understanding of that no matter what's going on that side, that he still needs to be present for the children,
Yeah, yeah.
because they're
I know
going to
what
need
you
the
mean.
father regardless. I mean, and I've always had it in my mind that you know you're gonna go through their whole life, and you're gonna have major events, graduations, things of that nature, and there's always gonna be a time where they're gonna be looking for not two but three, and then maybe even four if he remarries.
Right.
Then now you got four people that they're going to be looking for to be present at every major event in their life. And for every party involved, there has to be a level of respect, no matter what's going on when it comes to the children. That's what has to happen. So for me, there's been major ups and downs and at times or whatever to have you, but there's always a point where I step back and say, okay, is this a period for me to step in, or is this a period that they need to figure out what needs to happen based off of the bond that he has with his children? There's so many different logical things that you have to take emotion completely out of it and just think of what if the tables were turned, if it was a flip situation, how would I want the person who's in my shoes to handle that? And a lot of times that's what doesn't happen, is that like with what Albert was saying, the whole period of time that he didn't get a chance to meet him because he said he didn't want to meet him. That in turn is a huge problem.
Yeah, it was a huge problem. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you don't even give me the comfort of knowing who's around my child.
Thank you.
That right there is a red flag going into it, because of the fact that you have that's sleepless nights.
Right.
There's nothing knowing about what's going on in the household. I anytime when I'm calling for them to talk to their dad, yeah, I can call from my phone, I can call from her phone. It doesn't matter. I talk to him, ask him how he's doing, what's going on. And don't get me wrong, we butt heads a few times, but it's always a respect there at the end of the day that, okay, as long as this don't get physical and the girls are still happy, we try to keep them blinded to whatever is wrong in on this side, because they didn't ask for none of this. You know,
Right.
so that's the responsibility of not only the father but the stepfather, just to have a respect for everybody involved.
Yeah, and I've been on both sides of the ball, like literally, having children who are where the responsibility is shared with another man because of the relationship with the mother, and then at the same time, raising a child who is not biologically mine. And so, I really have dealt with both sides of that, and it is there's a lot to consider. There really is a lot to consider. One thing that point that you brought up, Mills, that really hit home for me. You said the words that you always wanted a family, and I
Mhm.
can really that really resonated with me because with me not having my father in the home, I used to always look at other families, not jealously, but man, I wish I had that. The mother, the father, they're going on vacation, they're doing trips, they're doing this, they're doing that, and so I always wanted that. And as people, human beings in general, we always want what we don't have. And so sometimes the fatherless men rush into situations to become fathers to fill that void. And I did
Mhm.
that unknowingly. And so I'm 19 years old. I wasn't raised by a father, didn't know how to be a father, wasn't ready to be a husband, wasn't ready to commit. I wasn't ready for any of that. But I remember very vividly one day I was sitting with my children's mother, and we're looking outside, and her son was riding his bike, and her daughter was playing in the yard. And mind you, I'm 19. You know what I'm saying? Haven't really taken on much responsibility, but I remember that exact moment, and I was like, man, this is what I want. This is really what I want. I want a family, and having a father in place to kind of slow you down and say that, hey, I see what you want, but let's lay a foundation first. Like when we talked about the one word of a man, let's build a foundation first. I think that a lot of us that are fatherless, we rush out and we build homes with no foundation because we're trying to fill a void. Does that make sense to you guys? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely. So let's see here. We did get a comment here from Stephanie. I want to touch on. It says child support is not a negative thing. The abusers of the system are the negative thing, and so child support is definitely a big issue that comes up. There's a lot of women who feel like men completely shun their responsibilities. On the flip side, there's a lot of men who feel that maybe child support is unnecessary and there should be more normalization of 50-50 custody, etc. When it comes to custody and child support, what challenges do you guys feel that men face specifically in that area?
Well, those challenges for me go back to the Clinton administration. There's too many things uh, for default child support that could hinder a man from even obtaining a job to continue to pay child support. So you talking about a suspended driver's license. You talking about negative impact to your credit. You're talking about potentially missing out on jobs, all because of a default in child support. These are the things that should not impact a man just because of a lack of paying child support. I get it. There should be some type of accountability, but I think they took it to the extreme and
Definitely.
they used it to hinder us and they used it as a weapon against us.
At this
For
point,
sure.
they need to throw the whole child support system away. I feel like that about a lot of facilities, government facilities like that.
Yeah.
It's so unfair. The odd, you know what I'm saying? It's so unfair. They need to scratch the whole thing and create. Come on, it's been forever. They need to create something new. Just like the prison systems, man. It's at this point, it's like designed. These people are not getting what they need out of there. It's designed for them to go right back, and the child support is designed to keep us broke. You know what I'm saying? It's set up a certain way to where they need to scratch that. They need to rearrange some stuff, and they need to come up with something new because it's not working. It's not,
Now,
and it's out of control.
I
to,
feel it's
to,
circumstantial. It's very. It needs to be more circumstantial than what it is right now,
Right.
because
Definitely.
you have two different situations where one father's taking care of his kids, doing everything that needs to be done, and yet one disagreement can put him on child support, and they didn't look deeply into it to see what he was actually doing and the circumstance that the situation called for. you know, versus the other side, you have someone that does nothing, and yet they still it's equally given to them equally the same thing,
right.
the same consequence. for a completely different situation.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because women do kind of hold the torch when it comes to that. Like for example, a mother with multiple children or multiple fathers that she's dealing with. There may be two fathers in the situation. One is completely non-existent, and that one is not on child support for whatever reason. And then the one who is right there usually tends to get the brunt of it. Have you ever know? I see you nodding your head, Mills. Is that something that you've seen?
Man, I have two brothers, man. Both of my brothers, all the men my mama created, we all take care of our babies from the moment that they popped out the womb. You feel me? And both of my brothers is on child support. Not only are they on, and they both do more than the mother do. And I'm not saying that because they're my brothers. I'm talking about one of my brothers' baby mother's up and moved to Florida on him recently. He flies or drives out there every holiday, picks her up, and he has 5 children plus a 12-hour, he works 12 hours a day, and he finds a way, and he's still on child support. Not only is he on child support, it's like they're getting the max. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow. And
It's just
like I've seen situations, or I've talked to other brothers who are in the situation, like the stimulus checks, the first round of the stimulus checks. There were a lot of brothers that, and again, think about what we're talking about here. Once you get over the age of 30, if you date anybody, they probably have a child, right? And so a lot of these men who are paying child support also have a household that they're taking care of as well. And
Right.
so they've got to feed the children that are in their house. They got to pay those bills. They got to take care of that. And then when you have such a big chunk going out of the house, I think what people don't realize is that now follow me on this. Tell me if you agree or not. And this may sound a little harsh, but I'm definitely sensitive to the plight of women. I got 4 sisters, and I was raised by my mother. But when it comes to child support, I've heard men talk about feeling as if it's not fair on the amount based on, okay, well, she's going to have a house anyway, so she was going to do that. She was already going to pay for utilities. So maybe there's some extra food that's needed. There's some clothes and things like that. But a lot of men feel that the price that they pay for child support is exorbitant in relation to what the needs are. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Because a lot of the guys, they didn't get the stimulus, and so they were going through the same pandemic. They were going through the same suffering, the same loss of jobs, same loss of income. They still have a household that they have to take care of. But
that goes to show you how lopsided a child support system really is. And that's what I said. I feel like it should be scrapped. And I know a lot of women will come for my neck for saying that, you know what I'm saying? But in reality, man, like these facilities is set up like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you take the man out the house, you know what I'm saying? We'll give you these little pebbles over here, you know what I'm saying? So you'll be dependent on them when they really should be dependent on us. We got to make our relationships better with the woman to where we don't need these people in our business. You see what I'm saying? And that goes back to picking who you choose to lay up with and create a child with.
Right.
Yeah. Just the accountability needs to be there. I think I'm not on child support, of course, but I did hear at one point in time that they had something in place where the money goes into a card, or they were talking about doing it. I think it goes into a card, and then it can only be spent on certain things in certain categories. If that was in place, then it would actually make them more accountable to show, okay, what is it being spent on? Because like you did say, those necessities were going to be met regardless of whether child support was in place or not. They have to have a roof over their head, have to have food on the table, things of that nature, regardless of whether the man is present or not. But when the child support does come in, if those things are already taken care of, that money should go to the child. And if not to a direct need of the child at that point in time, then a trust fund for college and something in the future. But that's normally not what happens. It goes out the window. So
that's what a lot of men know. You know what I'm saying?
So
we
have
know that. We live that. You know what I'm saying? They get that little child support and then they drop the kids off to you while they go splurge. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it be going a lot of times, man. I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? So
he ain't lying either, but here's the start though.
For us to know that builds up something inside of us, you know what I'm saying? And And we shouldn't be at odds with the women we created child with. That's where they're getting us in. Where they got us always at odds versus. They teach us that. Whether it be from football teams, basketball teams, you a Chiefs fan, he's a, you know what I'm saying? They teaching us to go against, so it keeps conflict and confusion in there when we really don't need them people. You need to value the woman you lay with and create a child with enough to hold yourself accountable. And on the other side as well.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I want to add this, that and to sum all of it up as we you know, to as far as, you know, being that father, and it's us. I'll always bring it back to us. It's us, it's us, it's us. From the choices and the decisions that we have made, everything is the way it is because we laid up, right? We didn't protect ourselves. We did make the choices that we made. So even though the system is what the system, we are the reasons why we're having to deal with this system.
Definitely.
Because of the choices that we made. So
Right. No, right.
Watch who you're with, right? And if you put in a situation and you're already in a situation, all you can do is make the best out of when you get lemons, make lemonade, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't control. I always say this as a speaker. You can't control what someone else does. The only thing you can control is what you do. Now, and I'll leave it at this, man. I'm getting out, and you got me on a motivation tip about to speak some crazy wisdom now. But listen,
go ahead, bro.
listen to this. Any choice that you make in life, any situation that you face in life, if you want it, never look at it as if it's them not doing something. You can change the scenario by changing you. When you are in a situation where you're fighting with your spouse, or you having an issue, or whatever it may be, or your baby's mom, or whoever it is, you can't argue with somebody who's not arguing with your back.
Right. Right.
You can't, you just can't. You're arguing. This is not an argument, because an argument takes more than one person, right? And so therefore, channel your energy differently. Channel the energy differently. Channel the choices, the decisions. Stop showing that you're frustrated and angry, because when you do that, it only makes it more. It creates a more bigger fire. So really, looking at you, look at the decisions you made, and from moving forward. Make better decisions. Make better decisions, and stop responding. Stop reacting. Start responding. Stop trying to get her to change. Stop looking at the individual. I'ma change. And if you said I've changed before, you ain't changed the right way, because there's always a right way. There's always a way that works. The moment you stop saying it doesn't work is a moment that it stops working for you. So start changing.
Proactive, not reactive.
Come on now.
Well, Ron, you hit it right on the head, bro. And I'm gonna say this. I want to go back to what Keith was saying about accountability and using that support for support. So, I mean, here's a question we can start right now. What are some of the things that a child needs every single month? You know, even if that includes the utilities, clothes, food. How about there be a list of things that the child actually needs every month to make sure that the funds are being allocated for those specific things? And if there is going to be a child support card or whatever, debit card, the same way that they won't let you use a food stamp card for you know, alcohol and stuff like that, then why can't those be implemented with child support? I mean, you shouldn't be able to go to Sally's Beauty with a child support card and get you a new naturally.
And it's very possible they can do that. They're just not doing that.
Right.
For their own reasons.
They want the black man and the black woman at war with each other. They want us.
It's all strategic, man. It's real cerebral. It's a mind thing, man.
Now, to in all fairness, you know, I'm gonna just speak for the ladies, because there aren't any ladies on here. A lot of men just don't take care of their children, and they completely shirk their responsibilities. They completely blow it off. Now, the question is, how do you determine at what level a woman should pursue child support or any other arrangements based off of the man? At what point is it, you know, well, hey, he's just a weekend father, let me pursue this? Or is he, you know, at what point do they
That's a good
make
question.
that decision and it's a proper decision to make?
I'll say, hopefully I don't get beat up. No, I'm playing with you. He's listening. No, I'm playing with you.
He ain't lying either.
A real note, like even in with my wife's situation, like I'm gonna say, first of all, I was afraid that if I got with somebody, that I automatically thought I was going to be put on child support as a black man. Don't know why. That's all I seen. So I thought that was the rule, right? But I'm just keeping it real. I thought that was a rule. I was scared to get put on child support. I wanted to keep my money. And so, but with my wife's situation, you know, even with Nehemiah's father, my baby girl's father, for a while there was nothing done. It was like, just, you know, do your part, do your part, do your part, do your part. Please just do your part. I don't want to do this. Do your part on years of this. And after some time, you know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, maybe, it's like, you know what, I can't do anymore. Like, I don't want you to just, you know what I'm saying, just give me money. Do it for your daughter, right? And so from that scenario, after, like I said, I mean, I can't specifically say a date, but a year is a nice amount of time to do something. You know what I mean? And to be there, to commit to say what you're gonna do, and nothing at all. Like me, like I said, in the scenario, I said, I don't really care. I don't need anybody to do anything. I can do it myself. I'll do it. I don't care. But at the same time, like I said, I would say, you know, if there's no response, you know, and you keep trying and it keeps going like that, what else can you do?
Now, one thing, you know, I believe that we, especially in the Black community, we do need to normalize 50-50 custody, and take the courts and the child support and all that. Let's throw that out of the window. Let's do 50-50. But here's the thing. So with me and being the, you know, the provider, so to speak, I know a lot of you brothers, everybody on here has, you know, businesses and things that they do outside of, you know, just a traditional 9 to 5. We're called on at all times, and we really don't have the same amount of time possibly as the woman. And so when it comes down to 50-50 for a lot of men, it's really unrealistic to actually split that responsibility 50-50. So in the case where, you know, maybe you're just getting the child on the weekend, is that a situation where child support should come into play, or is that still really not the situation for that?
I don't think it's
some
the
support.
situation.
I believe some support should be met. Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
No, I wasn't gonna say much. I don't believe that to be, you know, a reason to put, you know, I like to call them like Facebook fathers to me. Like the ones who know they ain't doing nothing, they know, and the woman know. We know, you know what I'm saying? We need to stop lying to each other and stop sugarcoating shit, because we know. You know what I'm saying? For me, there's one stepfather that he only comes around holidays or birthdays. You see what I'm saying? And I like to call him Facebook father because he does it for the picture or for whatever, so he can put it on Facebook and appear to be a father. But there's so many situations that go on week from week, day from day, food, diapers, clothing. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not stepping up and doing that, yes, child support is for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't mean break his pockets or break, you know, but actually support your child. You created this child. That's where accountability comes in.
Absolutely.
You know, unfortunately, me being a Capricorn, I treat everything almost like a business, and I feel like in that circumstance where there is a division between the relationship or the spouses or whatever, from that point on, the father needs to, for his own protection, treat it like it's a business and hold account of everything that is done. Not to throw in the face of the child or anything like that. The child never has to know that you're keeping tab on what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's to show that I am present and taking care of these things and sending money or paying for these things. That way, you know, if it ever does come up based off of a disagreement or anything that's not true, you have proof saying, well, explain these things here.
Now that makes a lot of sense, bro, because
That does.
that's right. Because even in the child support system, I dealt with it myself. You can pay your child support, but say, you know, if you purchase gifts outside of that doesn't count. And one thing I've seen too, and I'm not talking about my own personal situations, I'm just saying in general, when men are angry with the father of their child, I've noticed one thing: if the father is paying, that's not applauded, celebrated, or even mentioned. If he's not paying, they'll say it directly to the child. You know, hey, if your dad did this or if he took care of that, and if he is, they get the child support, they take care of things, and the father's name is never mentioned. And
So it
so,
looks like he's doing it all. Exactly.
Mill, that hit you, Mills. Have you seen that before?
Yeah, man. I said yes,
Right,
yes,
right, right. And if you,
and
yeah, if you
good,
don't pay,
man.
it's on blast. If you do, nobody knows.
It's like a negative review at a restaurant.
Right.
Right.
Definitely, man.
But
Here's the
all
thing.
in all,
Hey, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
yeah, we can hear you, bro. How you
Yeah.
doing?
I have y'all to know. I drove around America trying to find a damn spot where my signal didn't drop. But anyway, y'all had some excellent conversations. But my brother next to LaRon just got finished saying treat it like a business, and a whole lot of things you all were saying can go back to that. Imagine if either from this point forward or at any point before you've been in a relationship, you treat your relationship like a business. Meaning you plan before you actually get in. So that means you're actually planning not only who this person is going to be, but you actually explain the plan to her before you stick it in her and say, oops. Or she says, dang. Because it came up right after you showed that cartoon of being pregnant and him walking away. But the whole point is basically reflections of us. So reaction to something that we did not plan better for. Pregnancy.
Right.
I'm breaking up again.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. I'm gonna clarify what he said, but what he's saying is about intention. We talk about it all the time. Is we're doing way too much reacting as men. We're out here, we're being reckless, we're being sloppy with our seed, and then child support's hitting us. We're dealing with women that we didn't intend on dealing with the way that we are, and it affects the children. Like I said at the beginning, a child that grows up without a father in the home is more likely to end up poor, in jail, on drugs, having children too early, and just repeating the cycle. And so it is our fault as men. Like we have to take that personal accountability. We have to take that responsibility for the shaping of our family. And the shaping of our family starts with our decisions on the women that we lay down with and how we handle that whole situation. And so, like he said, we have to stop just acting, and we have to do more planning. We've got to do more planning.
Can I say one other thing? Y'all were talking about slavery and how that affected us. You were talking about grandparents being slaves, and you went through the spectrum, and it was real beautiful. The one thing that my aunt shared with me is men coming directly out of slavery, they bought and owned land. They had a plan that the land that they bought would be passed down to their children. And somewhere their children lost that plan. And today, even back when Malcolm and Martin were talking about it, and before then, we're still talking about we need to own our own land. So my point is, those slaves knew what their plan was. Those slaves knew how to build their family's future. We don't. And we're the most educated.
Where do you think that was lost at, though? Where do you think that was lost?
I'm actually in the middle of a book right now by W.B. Du Bois, and there was actually a governmental agency that was put together at that point in time.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that
stole from them. They weren't just lost.
Yeah, it was given, and then it was taken right back away. It was given, and then as they cultivated the land, once it got a little bit of value to it, they took it right back away and just chalked it up to inconsistencies and other little things that came about, and they just basically told them, no, we made a mistake, it's not yours anymore.
Basically what happened after slavery, Go ahead, my brother.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No,
that's a beautiful
point. However, not everybody lost their land. To give you an example, in Fort Smith, Arkansas, my great great grandfather purchased land for his 6 children. My grandmother and her sisters sold that land in 1970 for $18,000. That land is now worth a couple of $100,000. There's a Benijah Hay whatever temple on that land. And my aunt drives past that every day and says that was my family's land. So what I'm saying is there are stories where they did survive the the taking of that land back, or the massacres where they murdered people and took the lands. They did survive that, but the mentality is what I'm talking about. The mentality said that we needed to own, and from somewhere between that, not only did we lose that mentality, but we lost that, we gained that fear of getting past, if we get this, who's going to take it from us?
Gotcha. So let me ask you this. So since you're talking about resources and what we had then versus now, we do know that there were more fathers in the home during the time that you're speaking of, right? And so do you think that the fatherless problem now, is it based off of resources? Like, do you think that the men of today are afraid to fully step in that role because they feel they don't have the finances? Like, if the man's finances were in order, he owned some things, he was set up properly, do you think that that lends to a better father or a better situation for him to pursue being a great father versus, hey, I'm broke. This is too tough. This is too hard, and I'm just going to put my hands up. Is finance the problem, or is it something else?
Anything you put after the word afraid fits, because afraid is the biggest issue. Those men back in slavery, they were just as afraid of being lynched when they walked to market to get the seed to go back to their lands. They had a whole lot more challenges than we did, but yet they still kept moving. We make excuses.
Full of them.
Man. Well, listen, brothers, we could definitely have this conversation all night. It's been we're coming up on about an hour and a half. Man, a lot of nuggets, man, a lot of nuggets in here. I picked up some things that I can apply to my life. Hopefully, the people that are listening picked up some things that can apply to theirs. Definitely share this broadcast with the people in your life, who could use this information. We want to change our families. We want to build stronger families. We want to build stronger communities. And here at Elevating Men, we feel that that starts with building up the man. And so the key takeaway for me, I would have to say, again, I'm going to run through the words that really identify a man and a good father. And so we came up with a builder, a good father and a man. He's a builder. He's looking to leave a legacy. He's a provider. He's a leader. He's a good steward. He's a good manager. And he's all about building a foundation. And so those are the traits that we want to take away from today's conversation. And in addition to that, accountability and responsibility. We can't blame our women. We can't blame our women, even if they do have some shortcomings and things like that. It's up to us as the men to weather that and do what has to be done. We got to do what has to be done. We're the only way that this is going to turn around. There's no reason in our community that 64 to 67% of the children are growing up without fathers, when we know that puts them at a great disadvantage. And as a community, we are already behind. And as men, we're really just exacerbating the problem by not taking that responsibility. And so when it comes to child support, hey, if we end up in that situation, we got to pay it, if it's a situation where the child's not in the home, we have to do whatever we can to be a part of that child's life. But our role as fathers is important, and we cannot discount that. We cannot leave the burden on the mothers. We have to take responsibility and be accountable. And so for everyone, just last words, LaRon, any final words from you?
Man, I would just leave you with this: keep fighting, keep fighting. You're always gonna have challenges, but just don't give up. Keep doing what you know to do. Keep fighting to be in your children's lives, even if it takes arguments, even if things happen. Just look to be the best man and the best father that you can be. Best man and the best father that you can be. As long as you know you're really trying, as long as you're giving it your all, that's what it's truly about. Don't be so yourself. It's going to be frustrating at times. Yes, it's going to be frustrating at times. But at the same time, and nothing against you, but for every action, there's equal and opposite reaction. So deal with the reaction. Deal with the choices that has been made. Learn to maneuver with the choices that you have made. Be okay, because this can't change, but be okay with the choices that you've made. But just work it out. Get it together. Work on you. One last thing. coaching, if you need coaching, if you need direction, if you want to go somewhere in your life, if you are stuck, if you have challenges, even with relationships, anything like that, come and talk to me. Once again, I'm a life coach. I direct people. Is really a gift that I have. If you need direction, if you need just to get yourself together. Once again, we talked about yourself. You got to get your mind.
Yeah. Okay. I think you got muted.
I need life coaching, and we'll move like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. If that part cut out on you, again, LaRon, you can find him on Facebook, LaRon the Motivator. He's a inspirational life coach as well as a motivational speaker. He gets me fired up every time I talk to him. The brother prays with me. He's a good dude, and so if you need any type of help, he does consultations. Just inbox him where you can contact with me, and I'll connect you. But definitely take advantage of that. Any last words from you, Keith?
Just be proactive, not reactive. A lot of times we are always waiting for things to happen, and then we jump to try to take care of it after it's already happened. But if you just be proactive and hit it head on, be intentional about your movements, plan about everything that you do, then every step that you take is like chess. You have to think 5 or 10 steps ahead to know what's going to come, and then that way you're not surprised by what's in front of you. So just be proactive, not reactive. Be intentional about everything you do. Words are powerful, so choose them wisely, and take every step and make it strategic. That's all I got.
Cool. Final words, Mills.
Yeah, I wanted to leave y'all with this: presence over presence, meaning you being there is more valuable than any gift you can give your children. You know what I'm saying? Your time, the moments you create, the memories you create when involved with your children is way more precious than anything as far as materials. You know what I'm saying? And another thing I wanted to leave y'all with: educate them. Don't teach your children what you grew up learning. You know what I'm saying? Teach them what you know now, so they'll be equipped for the world as it is today. That's a few things I want to leave y'all with, man. And another thing, I will be starting my own podcast sometime this year, Raw Truth. So be on the lookout for that. You can follow me at Young Mill Tickets on Facebook, and that's the only platform I really use at the time. But
hey, bro, I actually had to jot that down. I love that, presence over presence. Like
no doubt.
Man, that could be a T-shirt, bro. That's a good one.
Yeah, your time is everything, man. Spend it with the children, man.
Absolutely. Andrew, any final thoughts? Any last words for you?
Hey, become a good businessman. A good businessman minds his business. A good businessman actually always reinvents his business. A good businessman always knows how to leverage his business, meaning merge with other families, become a father with other fathers. Learn how to grow. Stop being an island. These small businesses, they die. These conglomerates, they come together. That's what the United States did. That's what the United Nations did. That's what uniting does. Learn how to grow. Stop being so damn selfish. Stop being so damn scary.
That's powerful, bro. Well, guys, I appreciate having all of you on. For everyone who's listening, like I said, please like, share, comment, let people know that we're having these conversations every Monday. We know, it's needed. Our men need building up, uplifting. They need advice. They need direction. And so please share this stream to anyone that you think it will help. We'll be back again next Monday with a different topic. Again, we're all about elevating men, helping men become the best version of themselves. We appreciate all of you. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.